love my people because I don't never say that I don't love my people because I don't identify with the labels given to me by my oppressors. Because I don't perpetuate a culture that only existed 200 years or even 100 years after Spanish colonization. Don't ever press me. Don't ever think that you can challenge me because I don't identify with a culture that was perpetuated on the indigenous population only after colonization. Don't do that. Don't do that now. Don't do that. We were never Hispanic. We were never Latino. We were never Latinx, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. We was none of that. We was never none of that. We was never Tainos. We was never none of that, bro. If you really, 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 really want to dig deep, if you really want to dig deep, we're the people that the Bible speak of. If you really...
All right, Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. But you saw that that's more than likely that's Issachar from one of the tribes of Israel. So he's aware of these corporate ethnicities that was given unto you by your oppressor. And now, out of our people ignorance, they embrace these corporate ethnicities, these corporate titles that's all made up out of thin air. Right? I'm gonna give you some examples of that. But you got some call themselves, some people call themselves Black, African American, Afro American. They call themselves Hispanic. They call themselves Mexican, Jamaican, Haitian, Brazilian, Dominican, Nigerian, so on and so forth. But these are all made up nationalities, made up ethnicities, right, that was given to you by your oppressor. And this is what people hold fast to as truth. That's why the scripture, Isaiah 60:2, says, gross darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness, gross ignorance, the people, right? So let's get all into this. These corporate ethnicities was created out of thin air, right? Some of this stuff came from sayings, and these would be the curses that would be on the true Israelites, so you can identify who they were today, right? Deuteronomy 28:37, and all the nations, it's a veil over all the nations. All the nations call themselves by corporate names. So-called Chinese, they'll be the Moabites. You got the, so-called East Indians. I think there's Elam, right? And then you got the so-called white people, the Edomites. So we going back into the Bible ethnicities, not what you know today, right? And what our people have been given is ignorance, right? They've been getting Salakia. They've been given lies, which leads to ignorance. It says Deuteronomy 28:37. It says, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, shall lead thee. So we're going to be scattered to all nations. You got Israelites that look like so-called white people. You got Israelites that look like so-called Chinese people. You got Israelites that look like so-called Pakistani people, right? And that's a cut to you black-only Israelites that think everybody's going to look like Shaf or Shaq, right? All the Israelites going to be dispersed through all the nations, and they're going to look like all the nations. Now you're gonna have a large percentage of them that look like so-called black people, but that's another byword, right? Their skin is predominantly different shades of brown, right? You have, what about Chris Brown? He's known as a red bone. Them are Israelites too, right? So we're not fixated on the skin tone thing, but we do know that the so-called white man has a particular look overall, but not all of them. And Jake has a particular look because you got a lot of brown-skinned Edomites running around here. All right. So let's go to this word byword. So byword at the top. Salakia, let me scroll up. It says byword, Salakia. It says a particular Salakia. Byword, it says a familiar saying at the very top. Salakia, my nose kind of stopped up, so kind of bear with me. It says they put a familiar saying, so that's what our people they familiarize themselves with calling themselves Black, Hispanic, and Native American. So if everybody else said, they just gonna keep repeating it because they've been brainwashed. So this is what they say. They say this by default. They say these corporate names by default. It's programmed into them to say this, right? So familiar saying. It says 3, an object of scorn or ridicule. So these phrases are very insulting when you go into the word black. Black means evil, ugly, sinister, sick, death. That's why when you go to these funerals, most of these people wear black. It's a sign of mourning. It's a sign of sickness and death. And you mess around and call yourself black people out of your ignorance. But this is not good. And then, Hispanic and Native American, all these bywords. Let's go to this word Hispanic, right? It says Hispanic. And that's why you have to go into the meaning of words so you can get the truth of what words mean, so you can come out of these different spells. Because words are spells if you let it. It says Hispanic. It says pertaining to Spain. So this word Hispanic traces back to Spain. It says pertaining to Spain, especially ancient Spain, 1580s. So they renamed it, you know, they renamed people, and people out of their ignorance just started calling themselves these names, and they started to pass these traditions down to their kids. And they've been doing it so long generationally that people actually think that they are these corporate names, these corporate entities, right? Like Hispanic, which goes back into Spain, right? It says, see Spaniard. So this word goes back into Spain, which is a country, right? But you get it. I mean, you can do further research. Let's go to this word Puerto Rico. It's like it, but you got the word Puerto Rico, right? They call themselves Puerto Rican, right, out of their ignorance, right? But we're gonna break down what the word Puerto Rico or Puerto Rican mean, right? Because when you the word Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican, Salakia, you just adding the AN at the end, the AN, but it means the same thing, right? This it says right here, it says native of or inhabitant of Puerto Rico. It says or pertaining to Puerto Rico or its inhabitants and culture. It says from Puerto Rican, Puerto Rico, and they add the plus AN, Salakia. But when you go to the word Porto, the word right here, it says Rich Harbor. It says seaport. Port is how you got the word Porto. It's a port, like you ship stuff from different ports. Ports all over the, world, right? And rich. So it means literally translates to Porto means port and Rico means rich. So people, these so-called Puerto Ricans, which they'll be the tribe of Ephraim, right? They call themselves a rich port or port rich. You see how stupid that is? But try to tell them, and them so-called Ephraimites, they get all into they have the flag, this complete ignorance, right? Let's go to this word Jamaica. So we got the Benjamites, right? They call themselves Jamaican, right? And then you got the so-called Haitians. I ain't gonna go through them all, right? I'm just giving you just a few of them, a sample, so you can understand. Like you see what I'm saying? It says Jamaica, right? So our brothers in Jamaica and around around that area, the so-called Caribbean, call themselves Jamaicans out of their ignorance. But when you go into the word Jamaica, it says West India Island. Let's get rich in springs. It says said to mean rich in springs. So Jamaica means rich in springs. You see this? So when they say they Jamaican, they say they rich in springs, and they think that's ethnicity. It's just folly, man. And you keep going down. You go to Nigeria. Nigeria came from a so-called white woman that named it after Niger after the Niger River, and started calling that region Nigeria. And you got a lot of those Israelites there call themselves Nigerians, right? But the real Israelites would be discontinued from their nationality or their ethnicity, right? So, I'm gonna go to that word ethnicity. So, the correct word is ethnicity. Nationality is more like you're a nation of something, but we use that word sometimes, so you could be familiar with what we're saying. It says Jeremiah 17:4, right? It says KJB. It says, and thou even thyself should discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So your heritage is going to be discontinued. Like you go to the store, they discontinue your product, they no longer sell it. So your heritage is going to be taken from you. And you was going to be given these bywords, these corporate ethnicities, right? That you ignorantly call yourself today. And you do it proudly. It says, I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Right? So they go to show you that the same people that went into captivity, that was in bondage in Egypt, the same people are in captivity in Babylon and throughout the world, right? They go to show you it's the same people, it's the same connection now. What do those societies have in common? They had the Israelites in slavery, right? You ought to be able to see that connection. That thou knowest not, and for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, that which shall burn forever. So before this thing cut off on me, because I know this a heavy hitter, we're gonna go to this word ethnicity, right? It says ethnicity, a term that describes a group of people who share a common set of cultural and social characteristics, going back to the same bloodline of people, right? It says language, beliefs. It says language, religion, beliefs, values, behaviors, accents, styles of dress, hairstyles, social customs, and food, right? So what you have done is assimilated to the so-called white man culture. So that's the reason why your culture is lost. You know, our people don't, they can't fathom that they did Israelites because of all the indoctrination, right? But I think I'm gonna call it a lesson. I want to go a little bit deeper, but this thing gonna cut off on me. But you got to stop calling yourself. You got to stop using the term black to refer to your people. Mexican, Hispanic, and the word Mexican is some folly as well. You know, all these pseudo nationalities, these are corporate ethnicities that the so-called white man put into law and put into paper to keep you totally confused and confuse the world so he can have dominance over you. All right. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak Wadash. Shalom.